Hi friends, welcome to Class in the Box 5. This is the summer edition and this layout is called I'm Loving It. And we're going to do a little bit of mixed media. It's only a light touch. I am not the mixed media queen unlike Julie. For this one we're going to need a circle. So that could be a side plate, a compass, whatever you've got really. I've just used a tape. And it needs to be about sort of 15 centimetres wide. I'm just using it as a guide, so if yours is slightly smaller or slightly larger, just paint on the inside to get about the right size for you. So I'm just lightly drawing around that with pencil, and you definitely don't need it very dark, so if you can, rub out as much of the lines as you can, because you won't be able to after the next step. So you'll just need some blues. I use the salvage patina and broken china, but the salvage patina wasn't very bright, so it was a bit too light. So I actually think if you'd get away with the, not broken china, Peacock Feathers, but any blue will do really. So, or if you want to go with another colour, mine was very holiday and sea themed, so, but you could do this with a yellow or a pink, whatever you fancy. So now I've got my circle ready, I've got my ink ready. I'm going to apply a little bit of water to that circle, and this will help the inks to move. So it's just plain water. I was going to say plain white water. I'm just going to lightly add some to the background. So don't saturate it and tap off the excess. If you want to, it would be a good thing to practice on some old card that you might have knocking around, just so that you get the feel. I think I ended up doing about 4 of these. And I'm using a medium round end paintbrush just to apply some ink now. Now, in hindsight, I think looking back, I've added quite a bit of ink and I really should have left it more messy. So I keep going back, I can't help myself. But you just need the rough circle. So I stop there. I've got far too much Morag. So, but I think that's enough because we're going to apply this in layers, and it just works better if you've got more mess. So yeah, definitely try and do that if you can, unlike me. So it was really light and it dries lighter than it looks when it's wet, so bear that in mind. And I'm going to do the same now with the Peacock Feathers. So just putting a bit of ink down onto the cellophane and then mixing it with water, just so you've got some sort of paint really effectively. So just a bit more water. So these are oxides. You can do exactly the same with distress ink, and you'll just get something a bit more translucent. So you can mix them, that's fine as well. You can see there that there's still water on the background, so that paint is spreading. As I say, I've kind of gone a bit like I was painting a house here. So I'm trying to fill in the gaps, and really that isn't necessary. If you allow the background to dry before applying another layer, you'll see those layers through the ink, so they'll be translucent. You'll get little bits of showing through with the brush marks and the splodges. So really, again, in hindsight, if it's you, stop there, let it dry and then add some more ink, which is what I've mentioned in the instructions. I kind of just, I don't know, I couldn't help myself there. So I don't want to shout at myself, stop. Oh, here we go again. So really stop. Okay. But, I mean, that might be the look you're after. It just wasn't the look I was after. Okay, so that's enough. Look, I've put my brush in the dryer now, in the water now. So just to help things along, I'm going to lightly dry it with a heat gun. But again, you could, if you've got too much on there, you can dab off with a paper towel, let it air dry, which I think is always the preferred choice. But just because I was creating this video, I did use the heat gun. I don't often use a heat gun, but it does need to be dry before you do the next layer. Okay, so you can see there are some brush marks there. If you go without the water step, you'll see more brush marks. So again, I would suggest you try on a bit of scrap card and see what you think. I'm going to add some gold now. So you've got some choices here. I've got these DewDrop inks, Brilliance inks. I've had these donkey's years and I don't use them very much. But actually, rather than just, they're great for stamping, but rather than just stamp, you can use it in exactly the same way because it's a pigment ink. You could use something like shimmers or cosmic, what they call cosmic something or other, or you could use a spray. So I've got like a Heidi Swap gold shine spray. So whatever gold you've got, you can use a gold watercolour paint if you've got it. Whatever you've got is handy. If you need to get one, those little DewDrops, I think they're about £2.50, £3, so they're really cheap anyway, and they're quite handy to have. So again, as I did before, I just smushed it onto some spare packaging, and then I'm just diluting it with water. And what that will do is release the mica powders in the, or the mica flakes in the ink. So it will be kind of glittery and shiny, just lovely. So again, with that medium brush then, I'm now going around that circle. Now, if I had left more white patches in the circle, that gold would show up even more. So that's the reason why you didn't really want to fill in your whole circle as I've done here. So you can see I'm not going around the whole thing with the gold because really it's supposed to be messy and, you know, shiny and lovely. So, but they are all unique. So that's the point of the technique really. So if you had something like the colour shine or the shimmers, you'll find that a little goes a long way with those. With the ink pad, you will need to kind of make more ink, as it were. So as you're spreading that gold around, just kind of concentrate in certain areas. On the left-hand side is where my photo will go. And you can always add it later if you cover it up or you don't have enough. So I'm just colouring outside of the lines there. But I do love it where it overlaps because it does kind of change colour, and then some bits where it's just the gold on its own is just beautiful. But definitely need both colours, so be sure not to go nuts. So that's kind of more or less it. Here's one that I made earlier, Blue Peter style. So they kind of just look different every time you do it. So yeah, I did practice on another white card, so I'm not sure which one I used in the end for my layout, but look how shiny that is, just lovely. So whichever one you want to use. Now you can see I'm using that portrait photo as my guide, or the piece of paper, because I hadn't actually sorted my photo out at this point. And then I decide the actual photo I want is completely different. So we're going to create this sunburst. I'm absolutely obsessed with sunbursts at the moment, and I did put a couple of sunbursts in the shop from Bramble Fox. So if you have a stencil, use that because this is so much quicker with the stencil. But as a technique, I thought I'd show you how to do it without, because I'm not trying to sell you a stencil. All I'm trying to do is, show you how to make a sunburst when you don't have any specific tools. So I've picked a point for the centre of my sunburst. It's going to be below the photo, so it's just pick somewhere. And I'm not being very fussy about this, so if you've got a stencil, it will be great because yours will be even. It'll be very easy and quick to do this step. But I'm just lightly drawing those sun rays then to a central point. And then I'm just going to knock out some of those pencil marks. So I've got enough in real life just so I can see what's going on. And then you'll need some washi tape or masking tape. So be sure that you'll know your tape, but be sure you've taken the tack off as much as possible if you need to, because those suckers really pull your paper off when you remove them. I know from past experience. So I'm just masking off that circle. I mean, it should be below my photo, but at this point I'm still going with the landscape photo. So here's the Squeeze Lemonade. I am using a blending brush. This is a makeup brush, which I find my easiest tool of choice. But if you've got the blending foam or whatever you use, you can use blending foams or bigger brushes, makeup brushes, whatever you've got. These ones, I know I've mentioned this before, but they are my favourite. They're really dense, fine bristles. And I find them just the easiest way and fastest way to apply ink. So they are my favourite. So as you can see there then, it's trying to stick, isn't it, to that paper. So I'm just going to use my spatula to try and get it back off. And I think in real life it does actually tear that circle somewhat. So here's my, so what you need to just remove the tack off it. Oh, it's fiddly. So this is why you need a stencil. Worth it in the end though. So we're just going to move that now to the next sunbeam and do the same again. So apply the ink, work inwards to outwards, and then you'll get that nice faded look. And then just build up your colour. So you can always add more colour, but you certainly can't take it away. So bear that in mind and don't go too nuts, I don't think. Unless that's the look you're looking for. So we're going to continue around this circle and the sunbeam in the same way as I've done there. I ended up adding another one to the bottom because I hadn't drawn enough, so I just did that by eye with my tape. But you get the gist of the idea there. And you can see this is I think this was the first layout I made, so I'm kind of toying with different ideas of what to use on which layout. And that summer doesn't appear on this layout at all. But I did steal those palm trees, so Julie didn't get one. And then now we're going to outline the sunbeam or the sunburst. I love this technique. I think it really adds definition, but you just want a light definition. So I use a fine liner. I'm just showing you here the different fine liners that I have. It's a bit off the camera, but you can see I tend to use a 0.1 nib, and I've got them in light grey, a dark brown, and black in, and I've got like a 0.01 or 0.03 or something like that. So you can do it with a wider pen. Sorry about my hair there. But you're just doing it so light, so you're kind of skipping across that, so you don't want a solid line. I'll just show you what I've done here. So I've just gone really, really lightly, so it's just for definition. So we're just going to go across all of those, but it really does lift that sunbeam off the background. So definitely worth the effort. So to add a bit of interest to the bottom, we're going to just tear the bottom of the cardstock because it's so thick. I've actually weakened the page, and I've just got water on a paintbrush there, drawn across. It's not even very clean water, is it? But it just weakens that area, and I will now tear off the bottom of the cardstock. So, you wouldn't need to use the water, but it just helps to weaken it because it's so thick card, which is perfect for mixed media, but it would be challenging to rip without that water first. And I like those rough edges, that's what we're after. So if you didn't get those when you did your tear, you could just add some more. So I'm just deciding what to do below that now. So I love this paper. What's it called? So I have no idea what it's called now. And I love the jade colour. So I'm just playing around as to which ones I want underneath. But I do stick with this one now. This has those little dots on one side and then those wavy stripes on the other. I think the bold colours really help to lift a white background. So yeah, just trying to decide what to do. So I'm just going to cut that just to give me a guideline. But actually you could just tear straight across there, save you cutting it as well. So I find that side is the best side. So, you know, as I say, I'm just playing here, but you could have torn that straight across the back. But yeah, that's definitely the way we're going. So I'm just trying to think. So you can see that is 6 centimetres, and I just need this a bit longer. So I think I tore off about 2 inches off the bottom of the white card, so we just need to make that up with that jade colour card. If you go, here's my tip, if you go a little bit longer, so let's say we took off the 5 centimetres off the bottom, and if you cut the background to make it up at 6 or 7 centimetres, so longer than 12 inches in total, you can then trim it back. For years I was trying to get it precise. It's not quite 12 inches in height or whatever. And then I kind of worked it out. Is, you know, just go longer and then trim it back to the correct size. So I'm just going to make that tear. And I just love to curl the edges, and it just adds a great bit of texture and interest to a layout, which is a really simple technique. So yeah, I love that. And it kind of just picks up on all those colours that we've used above, doesn't it? So here's where I'm trying to make it up to 12 inches. And really, you just need to make it 13 and then trim it back. So we can just stick all those into place. Now, when you stick it into place, be sure to leave a gap at the bottom edge. So just stick it at the top there. Because we're going to tuck something in later, so we'll be tucking in a tag. So make sure that's just loose. And same with this strip here, when you put it on the back of the background. Just so, as I say, we've got the opportunity to tuck a few things in. It's a bit fiddly, I have to say. What you will probably better off doing is, if you use a ruler, just draw a line in the back and then adhere it to that line. That'd be much simpler. And as I say, then trim it off back to 12 inches. But I really like the effect that has then on the final layout. So I went off and printed my photo. I didn't have a portrait photo in the end. Sorry, I went with a portrait photo. So I've then mounted my photo onto some of the 6x8 papers, whichever one you fancy really. And I'm just going to stick those palm trees in place. Now, I did experiment with the palm trees, whether I should colour them with paint, but I found it quite difficult to get a kind of weathered look or a washed look. You could have a go. I tried it on the back of mine with just some white paint, but it kind of just looked like a bit of colour. So I would have ended up having to do a lot of white paint or whatever colour paint I wanted to get the colour, because it just absorbed the paint, but it absorbed so quickly. You know, you couldn't get that I couldn't get that weathered look. So I just went with the brown finish, made it look more rustic. And just before I set the palm trees down, I should have done this step really, but I just wanted some texture where my embellishments are going. So as you can see, I'm just stamping with one of the stamps from the collection that come with a kit. And I'm stamping off. So I'm stamping on and then stamping off, or doing multiple impressions, just so that you get a bit of a fade look. It's not too definite. If you want to, you can add some ink splatters there before this goes down. That again would have been a good idea, so you can learn from my mistakes. If you want to put some ink splatters at this point, I would do so. And you can fast forward the video where I show you how I put my ink splatters on. So again, hindsight's a great thing, but when you're creating a layout, obviously you kind of don't know, well, I don't know really where I'm going with it. I think that's a fussy cut suitcase there, but you've got loads and loads of stickers and embellishments, so whichever ones you want that work for you. Don't feel the need to kind of stick with what I've done. That little camera there, I've stamped using the stamp set and then coloured, so like as we did with those inks initially, I've just done the same here and actually just painted the camera just for a bit of colour. And I think these are sunglasses, which again I stamped and then coloured with ink. You just kind of want to layer a few stickers and those little epoxy stickers and cardstock stickers, whatever you've got. Or if you've got things of your own that you want to use, some perspectives, for example. I've got loads of little stars perspectives, which are always really popular. Those would go great here, or little hearts. I'm using the puffy stickers. But if you've got Nouveau drops, you could add Nouveau drops here. That would be really good, but just do that at the very end, because obviously they'll just make a mess if you smudge them. But I did find there's enough puffy stickers. You may have used some on Julie's classes, so don't feel as though you've got to do something identical. So I'm going to use that perspective, the super perspective at the top there, but can't just add something on its own, so I'm going to use one of those cardstock stickers and just glue that super perspective. I do like to take the vinyl off the back of perspectives and the front if there are any. Anything that's etched doesn't have vinyl on the front because I need to take that off for etching. But this is a beautiful coral colour, absolutely one of my favourite colours at the moment. And I'm just going to put something below that sticker title there, Me Encanter, which means I'm loving it. I did Google it just in case. My O-level Spanish doesn't go very far. But I kind of like that it's in Spanish because it's really, I don't know, just adds a bit of fun, a bit of something different. So it's that particular sticker says travel. So it's a good way to expand our vocabulary, isn't it? So I have firstly cut one of the stickers out of the 6x8 pad there. Stickers. Oh, it's early in the morning here, so tag even. Whatever tag you've got, or whichever one you don't want to use, it doesn't really matter. But I just like to have them poking out from underneath. And I'm going to fix that in place there with a stapler. So I've just kind of folded and squeezed the paper there. Juantos, does that mean games? Really, my O-level Spanish didn't get me far, did it? And, maybe just use some of the puffy stickers to add a little bit more decoration. And I think in a minute I'm going to use one of the hearts from the acrylic set. The acrylic set's really cute because it's kind of clear acrylic with a printed background. So I don't know how they do that. It's definitely something I can't do with Bramble Fox, so that makes me sad. So there are loads of really cute embellishments. I love the little pouch that we've included in the kit this time, because I don't know about you, I open up a kit, get started, and then it's all over the place. It gets mixed up with other kits and other design team stuff I have to do. So you can see here, I'm just going to take the vinyl off that acrylic from the American Crafts set. Couldn't find my pokey tool at the time, so just use your pokey tool to remove that vinyl. And then you'll just need some strong glue then to put that into place. I do like to use that Beacon 3-in-1 because it is very versatile. It's the most messy glue ever. And I do find with this, I think it must be the printing on the back of that acrylic. It just seems super non-stick, so you do need a fair bit of glue to get that to stick down, or maybe have to resort to glossy accents or something. So just, I can't leave a tag without something in it, so just thread a bit of that ribbon or a little bit of twine, whatever you've got, just so it's not empty. Well, and that's almost done. So the final optional stage really is to add some splatters. So that really will be up to you. So I'll show you how I add splatters. I'm going to use the same distress inks as before, and as we did before, we're just going to dilute that down then with water, and then just use a paper towel just to mask off the areas. So if you've not got your photo down and you're doing this a few steps ago, well done you, because that would definitely be the right place to do it. So I'm just going to add some with a paintbrush there. So it needs to be quite loose, the ink. And as you can see, the bigger the paintbrush, the bigger the splatters you'll get. I think probably I went a bit over the top, as I do. Because it's very, very loose water, and if you saw it in real life, you'll see that there's a little blob of water, blob of ink on top. So you'd be super careful that you don't smudge it, because I think I end up doing a bit of that later. And then I'm going to do the same with the gold. So I've stuck with that ink, but I mean I do have gold spray, so I could have done the same with gold spray. But just for the purposes of the class, I'm just going to use minimal materials as I can. But you know, you've probably got a big stash of stuff, haven't you? Because I have. So whatever's your preference, don't feel the need to stick to plan A. So that about wraps everything up. I do go a bit nuts there with my splashes, so I'm just going to mop that up. You'll need to set that aside to dry. And that's about it. So hopefully you've enjoyed the class. I'm hoping that you'll share that with us when you're done. I'll leave you with the close-ups. I really enjoyed this class. I love the kit. It's just, you know, been so much fun to work with. If you've got any questions, you know, please don't hesitate to ask. And if you like it, you can follow me on YouTube as Morag Cuts and on Instagram as Cropcat. See you in the next one. Bye.